Case #1 Lexi Thompson, ANA Inspiration 2017. A single email from a television viewer destroyed Lexi Thompson's major championship victory in real time. During the 2017 ANA Inspiration final round, Thompson was cruising toward her second major title when LPGA officials approached her with devastating news. Someone watching at home had spotted a rule violation from 24 hours earlier. Professional golf's honor system collapsed at the moment at Mission Hills Country Club. Thompson had been leading by 3 shots, looking absolutely dominant on the biggest stage in women's golf. The 22-year-old American was 6 holes away from glory when her world turned upside down. During Saturday's third round, she had marked a short putt on the 17th green and replaced her ball roughly an inch from its original position. Nobody on the course noticed anything wrong. Not Thompson, not her playing partners, not the rules officials walking alongside. But high-definition television cameras captured everything. An anonymous viewer rewound their recording, studied the footage frame by frame, and sent an email to LPGA headquarters during Sunday's broadcast. The message was simple but devastating. Thompson had violated Rule 27C by incorrectly replacing her marked ball. Officials reviewed the slow-motion replay and confirmed the violation. The penalty was brutal. 2 strokes for playing from the wrong position, plus 2 more for signing an incorrect scorecard without the penalty she never knew existed. Thompson's 3-shot lead instantly became a 1-shot deficit with 6 holes remaining. Case #2, Tiger Woods, the Masters 2013. Even Tiger Woods isn't immune to television viewers policing professional golf from their living rooms. At the 2013 Masters, Woods was cruising through his second round when a former rules official watching from Florida spotted something that would create one of Augusta National's biggest controversies. David Azinger, a respected former PGA Tour rules official, was enjoying the Masters broadcast from his home when he noticed Woods take what appeared to be an illegal drop on the 15th hole. Woods had hit his approach shot at the par 5 15th, and the ball struck the flagstick before ricocheting back into the water hazard. Under the rules, Woods had several options for his drop, including returning to his original position and dropping as near as possible to that spot. But Azinger, watching the high-definition replay, noticed Woods had dropped his ball about 2 yards behind his original position, a clear violation of the rules requiring the drop to be as close as possible to the original spot. Azinger immediately called Augusta National officials to report the infraction. Initially, tournament officials reviewed the incident and found no penalty. Woods played his shot, finished his round, and signed his scorecard. But then Woods made a crucial mistake during his post-round ESPN interview, explaining that he had deliberately dropped the ball 2 yards back to avoid hitting the flagstick again. This confession on national television forced officials to reassess the situation. The penalty was 2 strokes, but Woods avoided disqualification because officials had already reviewed the incident before he signed his scorecard, thanks to a recent rules revision. If you're loving this video, subscribe now and help us hit 5,000 golf fans by month's end. Case #3, Shane Lowry, the Open Championship 2019. Television technology has become so advanced that it can spot violations invisible to the human eye, even when that human is staring directly at the ball. Shane Lowry discovered this harsh reality at the 2019 Open Championship at Royal Portrush, where he was attempting to repeat his magical victory from 6 years earlier on home soil in Northern Ireland. Lowry was grinding through his second round when he found his ball in thick rough on the 13th hole. Nothing unusual about that situation. Professional golfers deal with challenging lies constantly. Lowry lined up his shot, took a practice swing like he had done thousands of times throughout his career, then addressed the ball and played his shot. He walked away thinking nothing had happened, completely unaware that his world was about to change. But thousands of television viewers watching the broadcast had access to something Lowry didn't. Slow motion, high definition replay footage zoomed in tight on his ball. The cameras captured his practice swing, causing the ball to move ever so slightly in the thick grass. The movement was so subtle that Lowry, standing directly over the ball and staring at it, never detected it happening. Neither did his playing partners or the rules officials nearby. 3 holes later, tournament officials approached Lowry with the devastating news. Television viewers had spotted the ball movement, and slow-motion replay confirmed their observation. The Royal and Ancient determined that Lowry's practice swing had caused his ball to move, resulting in a 2-stroke penalty that dropped him from contention to the cut line. Case hash 4, Tiger Woods BMW Championship 2013. Tiger Woods experienced the television surveillance state twice in 2013, proving that even golf's biggest superstar couldn't escape the eagle eyes of viewers and video editors. At the BMW Championship at Conway Farms, Woods was grinding through his second round when a PGA Tour entertainment crew editor, reviewing footage back at headquarters, spotted something that would infuriate the 14-time major champion. Woods had hit his approach shot over the green on the first hole, finding his ball sitting on branches and twigs behind the putting surface. Standard recovery situation for a professional golfer. Woods began clearing loose impediments around his ball, moving a large branch without issue. Then he spotted a small twig right next to his ball and casually rolled it away with his club. That's when disaster struck. The ball moved slightly, barely perceptible to anyone standing there. Woods insisted the ball had only oscillated, meaning it wiggled and settled back in its exact original position. In his mind, no penalty was warranted since the ball returned to its starting point. But the entertainment crew editor reviewing the footage disagreed and called tournament officials. When Chief Rules official Slugger White pulled Woods aside before he signed his scorecard, they watched the video together multiple times. White saw something different than Woods. The ball had clearly moved position and hadn't returned to its original spot. The penalty was 2 strokes, one for causing the ball to move, another for not replacing it properly. Woods' double bogey 6 became a quadruple bogey 8, and his round of 70 became 72. Case hash 5, Victor Havlin, the Players Championship 2021. Sometimes the most devastating phone calls come from the people who love you most. Victor Havlin learned this lesson at the 2021 Players Championship when his mother, watching from 4,000 miles away in Norway, spotted a rule violation that her son had completely missed. The 23-year-old Norwegian had just finished his opening round at TPC Sawgrass, shooting a solid 2 under 70 and feeling optimistic about his position. Hovland was walking to his car in the parking lot when his phone rang. Most young professionals getting a call from mom after work might expect to hear about dinner plans or family news. Instead, Galina Hovland delivered a devastating question. Are you going to get penalized for what happened on the 15th hole? Hovland was completely confused. He had no idea what his mother was talking about. Mama Bear had been watching her son's round on television from Norway and spotted something that nobody on the course had noticed. On the 15th green, Hovland had marked his ball and moved his marker 1 putter head length to get out of Justin Thomas's putting line, standard procedure in professional golf. But when he went to replace his ball, he moved the marker another putter head in the same direction instead of back to its original position, meaning he putted from 2 putter heads away from where he should have been. Hovland immediately called tournament officials and self-reported the violation. Video review confirmed his mother's eagle-eyed observation from thousands of miles away. The 2-stroke penalty under Rule 14.7 turned his 70 into 72, and he missed the cut by exactly 2 shots. Case hash 6, Paul Azinger, Doral Ryder, Open 1991. The anonymous tip-off phenomenon in professional golf dates back decades, proving that eagle-eyed television viewers have been policing tournaments long before high-definition cameras and social media. Paul Azinger experienced this reality at the 1991 Doral Ryder Open, where someone sitting in a Colorado living room, 2,000 miles from the action, destroyed his weekend with a single phone call. Azinger had fired a brilliant opening round 65, putting him just 1 shot behind the leaders and in perfect position for a weekend charge. The cameras followed him off the 18th green. The crowd was buzzing with excitement, and Azinger could practically taste victory. He was riding high on confidence and momentum heading into Friday's second round. But Thursday evening, someone in Colorado was rewinding their VCR tape of the USA Network broadcast. This anonymous viewer had noticed something questionable during Azinger's first round on the 18th hole, where he had played a shot from a water hazard. The viewer studied the footage repeatedly and became convinced that Azinger had violated the rules by moving a piece of coral with his foot while setting up for his shot. On Friday morning, while Azinger was in the middle of shooting another excellent round, the viewer called PGA Tour headquarters to report the infraction. Moving any loose impediment in a water hazard is a clear 2-stroke penalty, and since Azinger had already signed his Thursday scorecard without adding those penalty strokes, the consequence was automatic disqualification. Tournament officials escorted Azinger to a CBS trailer immediately after he finished his second round, reviewed the videotape evidence, and confirmed the violation. Case hash 7, Craig Stadler, Andy Williams. Open 1987, the Walrus became one of golf's earliest victims of television viewer surveillance, proving that creative problem solving on the golf course can backfire spectacularly when cameras are rolling. Craig Stadler was grinding through the third round of the 1987 Andy Williams Open at Torrey Pines when his drive on the 14th hole found trouble under a massive Leland cypress tree with low-hanging branches that made a normal swing impossible. Stadler surveyed his options and decided to get creative. He would play the shot from his knees, a perfectly legal technique that many golfers use in tight situations. The only problem was the ground conditions. Overnight rain had left the grass muddy and wet, and Stadler was wearing his nice tournament attire. Being a practical man, he grabbed a towel from his golf bag, placed it on the wet grass, knelt down on it, and chipped his ball back into the fairway. Perfect execution of a difficult shot, and Stadler continued his round without incident. By Sunday's final round, he was in excellent position, tied for second place after birdieing the final hole. Everything seemed to be going according to plan until NBC aired their Saturday highlights package before the final round began. Someone watching the highlights show at home immediately recognized a rule violation. Placing the towel on the ground to kneel on constituted building a stance under Rule 13.3, which is strictly prohibited. The viewer called tournament officials, who reviewed the tape and agreed with the assessment. Since Stadler had already signed his Saturday scorecard without adding the two-stroke penalty, he was automatically disqualified from the tournament. Case hash 8, Padraig Harrington, Abu Dhabi Championship 2011. High-definition television cameras can capture the most minute details that escape even the most observant players and officials on the course. Padraig Harrington discovered this technological reality at the 2011 Abu Dhabi Championship, where an anonymous viewer's phone call turned his brilliant opening round into a nightmare scenario. The three-time major champion had fired a superb 7 under 65 in the first round, positioning himself just one shot off the lead and in prime position for a weekend charge. Harrington was feeling confident and optimistic about his chances at the Abu Dhabi Golf Club, having played some of his best golf in months during that opening round. But somewhere in a living room, someone was studying the television broadcast with unusual attention to detail. The incident occurred on the 7th green, where Harrington had a 20-foot putt for birdie. He marked his ball, cleaned it, and replaced it according to standard procedure. When he went to remove his coin marker, his finger made the slightest contact with the ball. The touch was so minimal that Harrington felt it, looked down to check his ball's position, using the Titleist logo he always used for alignment, and was satisfied that the ball hadn't moved from its original spot. His playing partner Martin Kamer didn't notice anything unusual either, but high-definition slow-motion replay told a different story. The anonymous viewer spotted the incident and immediately phoned European Tour headquarters. Officials reviewed the footage approximately 60 times and determined that the ball had moved forward by 3 dimples, then back about 1.5 dimples. Under Rule 23A, there's no penalty if you replace the ball correctly, but Harrington hadn't done so. Case hash 9, Simon Dyson, BMW Masters Shanghai 2013. Sometimes a casual gesture that seems completely harmless can destroy a professional golf career when television cameras are watching. Simon Dyson learned this harsh lesson at the 2013 BMW Masters in Shanghai, where his innocent attempt to smooth out a spike mark would trigger the most severe punishment in our countdown. Dyson was flying high after 2 excellent rounds, sitting tied for second place at 4 under par and looking at a potential career-defining weekend. The Englishman was in the best position of his professional career at a high-profile European Tour event, with television cameras following his every move and momentum building toward what could have been his breakthrough victory. During Friday's second round on the 8th green, Dyson went through his normal routine of marking his ball, cleaning it, and preparing to replace it for his putt. As he set the ball back down, he noticed a small spike mark in his putting line, the kind of minor imperfection that every golfer encounters multiple times per round. Without thinking, he casually tapped down the raised area with his finger, a gesture so quick and natural that it seemed completely innocent. But television viewers watching the broadcast immediately recognized a serious rule violation. Under Rule 16.1a, players are strictly prohibited from touching their line of putt for any reason, with no exceptions for spike marks or other imperfections. Multiple viewers contacted European Tour officials to report the infraction. The consequences were devastating and far-reaching. Dyson received a 2-stroke penalty for the rule violation, but since he had already signed his scorecard, he was disqualified from the tournament. Worse yet, tour officials investigated and discovered he had deliberately committed similar violations in previous tournaments, resulting in a £30,000 fine and a suspended 2-month ban for serious misconduct. Case #10, Camilo Villegas, Tournament of Champions 2011. The paradise setting of Kapalua, Hawaii became a nightmare for Camilo Villegas when multiple television viewers spotted a rule violation that the Colombian golfer never considered during his birthday weekend at the 2011 Tournament of Champions. The exclusive 30-player field represented the previous year's PGA Tour winners, making it one of golf's most prestigious events. Villegas was battling the notoriously challenging 15th hole, trying to chip his ball up an extremely steep slope to the green. His first attempt came rolling right back down to his feet, the golf ball essentially telling him the slope was too severe. His second attempt met the same fate, with the ball refusing to stay on the putting surface and rolling back to where he started. While his ball was still moving from the second failed attempt, Villegas made what seemed like a completely natural gesture. He casually flicked away some loose grass from in front of his divot with his club, probably not even thinking about the action as he prepared for his third attempt. The movement was quick and seemingly insignificant, the kind of minor course maintenance that golfers do instinctively, but multiple viewers watching the Tournament of Champions broadcast immediately recognized a rule violation. Under Rule 23(1), players cannot remove loose impediments while their ball is in motion, regardless of how innocent the action might seem. Several fans called PGA Tour headquarters to report the infraction. The timing couldn't have been worse for Villegas. Friday morning happened to be his 29th birthday. Instead of celebrating another year of life, he received the devastating news of a 2-stroke penalty. Since he had already signed his scorecard without including the penalty strokes, the consequence was automatic disqualification. Happy birthday, Camilo. Your present was an early flight home from paradise. Outro. These 10 cases prove that professional golf has evolved dramatically. Every shot is now scrutinized by thousands of viewers armed with slow-motion replays and instant access to broadcasts. The traditional honor system, which defined golf for centuries, now exists in an era where a player's biggest opponent might not be on the course, but watching from a living room, ready to call out any infraction.